Where do you stop and where do you start, really, with all of this? I think it's incredible that the Taoiseach, in his address to the Irish people, or any minister or any deputy in this government can argue that their strategy is to see economic growth in our country while they have overseen the removal of €3,800 million from this economy. I think this is the seventh fiscal adjustment in a row, according to Social Justice Ireland, in which austerity has now taken place. And it has absolutely, spectacularly failed. It has put over 450,000 of our people onto the dole. It has brought back the spectre of emigration to our rural communities yet again. I'm from the Inishowen Peninsula, the most northern peninsula on the island of Ireland, and my peninsula and my county has seen more than its fair share of emigration. My grandfather had to emigrate. He had to come home and send money home at times and build a family home. My father had to emigrate before he was 15 years of age. I've had to emigrate in my time, and virtually all of my extended family now, in terms of young people in their 20s, are overseas. Many seats and chairs will be empty at Christmas tables across Inishowen and Donegal this year. The unemployment numbers in my home peninsula of Inishowen have come down from 5,000 to 4,500. I would love to report to you that's because of a surge of employment. That's emigration. That's what's happening. That's what's happening to our communities. And you see, I don't plead this evening that I am better than the government deputies, that I care more than the government deputies. I plead and appeal to your sense of Irishness and your sense of decency. This is so wrong. That we would allow a scenario whereby we will pass on €1,200 million of our money to unsecured bondholders in Anglo, that we have done so in recent times, 715 million. How will future generations judge us? Those generations that will probably be overseas. Our grandchildren will be in Australia. They'll be in America. They'll read about the situation in books. They won't be here. And they will judge us so harshly that they have been denied a future in their own country. So that's the reality of this. I listened to talk from Minister Hayes about fiscal responsibility. The facts are that before Ireland entered the euro in the late 1990s, we actually had economic regeneration. We had exports growing. We had employment growing. We had something that would have genuinely been a Celtic tiger, something that was sustainable. But when we joined the euro, our banks, our reckless private institutions, our banks, were able to access unlimited amounts of cash flow from other European banks, which combined with low interest rates from being in the euro was like crack cocaine. And there was no regulation. It wasn't just an Irish problem, it was a European problem. It was an international problem. It was a complete systemic failure of capitalism. The Irish people were not responsible for it. The Irish people listened to those in politics and leadership and supported Maastricht, supported the other treaties eventually, took all the assurances that came to them and did what you asked them to do. And now they are being punished beyond belief. To see the blight of emigration and the impact it has on rural communities. And I just want to take you through some of the impact this budget has on those rural communities. The closure of Garda stations. The loss of policing services in rural areas, proper policing services. Not somebody driving around in a car every now and again, proper policing services. The threat to beds in community hospitals and nursing units. the loss of funding for rural roads, for maintenance, basic maintenance, libraries being closed in local authorities because they can't find replacement staff thanks to the moratorium, the erosion of rural transport, poor and all as it is, the 2/3 cut to community employment schemes, the cuts to schools. I could go on and on and on and on. This is madness. This is absolute insanity. No economist on the left, on the right, in the centre ground, in the world believes this makes sense. You cannot cut your way out of this profound recession. It is failing. The Chinese had a form of capital punishment called death by 1,000 cuts. That's what this budget is. It is a whole plethora of small cuts that combined is choking the lives out of our people. Yet our Taoiseach, in his address to our people, says, you are not responsible for this economic malaise, this crisis. How can you stand over this? And again, I say to you, I don't preach that I am better than you in the government benches. I don't claim to be a better person. I don't claim to care more. I presume that we care the same, or maybe even you care more. But how can you stand over this? How can you possibly go back into your communities where you were born and reared and meet the people that you grew up with, right? And tell them that this is right, and tell them that this is acceptable. So I wrap up with this, Cathaoirleach. I say this, and to those who might be listening on their monitors and those that are here right now, this is so wrong. How long can you stand over this? At some point, when we're walking down that corridor, and I'll leave with this, we pass that 1916 proclamation, we pass all our heroes, men and women. When will we find the spirit that they had? When will we start to fight for this generation of Irish men and women and boys and girls? And if we can find that, we might turn this thing around. But I can tell you, this budget and this approach that we're going to have in this European summit in the next few days is a betrayal, an absolute betrayal of everything that proclamation stands for. I'll leave you with that to think about.